A Cumulus station. Trending now at 104.5 The Zone.
It is 10:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans hit the field for mandatory minicamp today. Assistant coaches spoke to the media yesterday, and wide receivers coach Rob Moore discussed the importance of Julio Jones' relationship with quarterback Ryan Tannehill as the two spend more time on the field together over the course of the next 3 days.
I think it's going to be time together. It's going to be not just on the practice field, but, in the meetings. Ryan does a great job of communicating really what he wants from these guys. And I'm quite sure that he and Julio will establish that kind of relationship where it's kind of seamless as when you're on the field because you think alike. And but really, the bottom line is just time with your quarterback and that communication.
The brackets are set for the College World Series in Omaha this weekend as Mississippi State and Virginia won yesterday as the last two teams to get in. Vanderbilt will face Arizona 6 p.m. on Saturday, and Tennessee in the other side of the bracket will play Virginia at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Preds goaltender Pekka Rinne won the King Clancy Memorial Trophy on Monday, awarded to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. It's Rinne's second career NHL award. He won the Vezina Trophy in 2018. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Rising to the top with A to Z sports quicker than any Titans reporter in town.
Had a birthday, I believe it was on June 1st, if I remember correctly. So we've already had a happy birthday for the state of Tennessee. But, I think it's in the same vein where Stephen A. Smith is well within his rights to wish all of you out there and the city of Nashville a happy 615 day.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
We don't know that the area code of 615 is a masculine child. Perhaps we'll keep it gender neutral, Lucas. I don't know how you'll have to dub that up at some point. But we need something for all of the pronouns to make sure that everybody's included.
Yeah, we'll keep it fluid.
That's a good joke by you. 615-737-1045. We got a lot of great giveaways. We're in the middle of Dad's Week, of course, Father's Day coming up. This weekend, I have already grilled Lucas about what he is planning to do for his father. He gave me some lack of preparedness answer.
I ordered him something.
Oh, have you? You've already done that?
Yes, I ordered him a T-shirt that will arrive on his doorstep on Father's Day. It is an extra large T-shirt with an Italian flag right on the front, and right over the top of that Italian flag is a hand doing this. As I showed to the camera.
Yeah, that doesn't make it. Lucas
doing the Italian, fingers together.
Yeah.
He'll love it. He loves Italian stereotypes.
We put the radio show on camera, and all of a sudden Lucas forgets how to do radio. Theater of the mind, bud. When you say like this, the radio audience doesn't know what you're talking about. But those of you watching,
the stream audience, The stream audience does.
Okay, we just talked about being inclusive, and you're already excluding people. This is a bad job out of you. If you are watching us on Zone TV, of course you can see the violent hand gestures that Lucas makes throughout the course of the show. Cronky has the emoji already figured out in Twitch. He knows exactly what we're talking about. John Moss says, and we'll talk a lot at length with Jimmy about minicamp and storylines that we're watching. But Cousin Andrew says, all 5 of us here on YouTube. Buddy, we got 4 streaming platforms, and the show just got started. Cousin Andrew just throw shade at us? What the hell is that? Yeah, listen, you can make it 4. You can get gone, big boy. I don't
make it 4.
I don't give a damn. I don't need that kind of energy to start off a Tuesday. What kind of, I almost said a bad word. What kind of BS is that? All 5 of us here on YouTube. Jesus. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. So John Moss is asking me on Twitch, where there are other people, Andrew.
About 80 right now.
Just across all 4?
No, 80 on Twitch.
Oh, 80 on Twitch right now. So 80 on Twitch. I'm not going to go through the numbers. That's stupid. But John Moss, I don't know why I was ramping up to do that. Does minicamp get access more than just, or does minicamp get more access than just Thursdays like OTAs? John Moss is asking me on the Twitter feed, where of course you can interact with the show. Yeah, we get today, we get tomorrow. I mean, we got assistant coaches yesterday. We get practice today and tomorrow, so I'll be out there both days. And then Vrabel will talk to the media at 12:30. But we will, maybe Wednesday we have some announcements on what may precede that. In the meantime, I'll be out there. We'll get into the storylines with Jimmy, and at this point, I want to talk about, because we've got the reason I asked Lucas about his lack of preparation for Father's Day, which he has superseded me on. By the way, I ordered one of those Vols baseball villain shirts. I did it.
For T-Bob?
No, for me.
Oh, nice.
For me, I'm going to wear that. Now that I'm a self-proclaimed Vols baseball, specifically baseball.
Can wear the daddy hat for Dad's week.
Daddy hat for Dad's week. I'm going to wear the villain shirt. I'm gonna, I'll think about the daddy hat. I don't know how I feel about the dad. I don't like hats. My hair's great.
I'm not a hat guy either.
No, we've got great hair. Why would we wear hats?
It just makes my head look dumb. It's nothing to do with my hair.
Why? Because you square-headed a little bit.
I just feel like I have a huge head, and it just looks big when I have a hat on.
I believe that. 615-737-1045. But about Dad's Week, we got Titans tickets to give away. So, in the effort of creativity, we've got other giveaways as well. We got $3 down tickets for you guys, because we want you to be able to enjoy Father's Day with your loved ones, with your the father in your life, or whomever you would choose to include in this particular endeavor. But I want to know how people are celebrating 615 Day. If you are celebrating 615 Day, because I had to think about this. I feel that I should do something for June 15th, 615 Day, but I have not yet decided what I want to do. Is it my favorite local restaurant? Is it, something that's significant to the city of Nashville? Do I just become a lush and go bar crawling down Broadway in the middle of the afternoon after the radio show ends? I haven't made up my mind yet. But if you get throughout the course of the show, if you give us the most creative way that you are celebrating 615 Day, because it's Dad's Week on 104.5 The Zone, we will be giving you a chance to win dad tickets. I don't know why they're specifically dad tickets if the tickets say dad, but to events and concerts for Father's Day all week long. Today, we are giving Titans fans a chance to get dad out of the house this fall and enjoy a future Titans game with your father. So the number is 615-737-1045. We'll be taking them across the show today, all 3 hours, and then at 12:15, we'll decide who we give the future Titans tickets to. But I think this is a way to reward your creativity, because I know a lot of you, the great majority of you are Nashville natives, which, living in Nashville has become a bit of a unicorn to me, because I think everybody's transplants that lives around me at this point. But I know that you guys have creativity in you, and I want to hear about it. So if you are celebrating 615 Day in a unique way, and you impress us with your creativity, we will award you with Tennessee Titans tickets to a future game. 615-737-1045. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans with Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com. Now, you know Jimmy for a long time. He's been one of the best in the business. And now, having worked for the team, Jimmy continues to largely produce more content than anybody in Titans media. But he has seen enough of these mini camps. And even Jim heading into this week, I think, is kind of looking at the Julio Jones situation in a way that I kind of described the energy, the excitement about it, or at least based off reading Jim. And his mailbag is out right now. But his first observations about Julio Jones, I'm curious what he is looking for most with Julio Jones. Now that we've gotten all the excitement out of the way, now that we've got, I mean, it will continue to be exciting through training camp and certainly once the season begins. But I am fascinated to see how the Julio Jones storyline develops. I'm also interested in a lot of stuff to do with the rookies. You're going to hear from the assistant coaches on that matter throughout the course of today's show. But Titans storylines that we are going to be monitoring. That's what we'll do with Jim Wyatt coming up next. But in the meantime, we'll go to Chris in Spring Hill. He's going to lead us off because this is going to become a competition. We'll see if people can't outdo each other over the course of today. Chris, what is the most creative way that you are celebrating 615 Day?
Well, I got to tell you, today's 6/15. It is my 13th wedding anniversary. We are going out to dinner, our favorite restaurant, Sperry's in Franklin.
Okay, congratulations to you and your lovely wife. I know that's going to be a great dinner. I've been to Sperry's not in Franklin, but I've been to the one in Bellevue. Or Belmead, rather.
Awesome.
Exceptional restaurant.
Yeah.
So, Chris, happy anniversary to you. We will write your name down, and you will be considered for these future Titans tickets. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. But coming up next, Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com.
Getting you fired up every weekday afternoon.
I'm telling you, man, I'm fired up now.
I know you are telling the truth, dude.
Blaine and Mickey. This afternoon, 1 to 3 on 104.5 The Zone.
There's never
Buck, how you doing today?
I'm great, buddy. I'm baiting the audience with a pair of Titans tickets if they tell me the most creative way that they're celebrating 615 Day. Is this a holiday that you celebrate, Jim?
I'm very well aware of 615 Day and certainly proud of it. This is where I grew up in my hometown and born here. I don't have a creative way to do it. I just got on my visor today. That's how I'm celebrating 615 Day, and I'll be standing out on the practice field watching a 6, Brett Kern, and a 1-5. Is that our guy Nick West? No, is that Nick Westbrook-Akeem?
That's right.
15?
That's my boy, Jimmy. That's my boy.
Okay,
Jimmy might win these tickets.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't know. We haven't seen Nick so far this offseason, so we may just see the 6 part of it.
It's like you're a writer or something. That was very creative of you on the fly. Well done, Jim. At Jay Wyatt Sports is where you can follow him. Of course, this is appropriate though. The icon Jim Wyatt in his iconic visor out at the Titans practice field where he belongs. That is an appropriate celebration of 615 Day. Jimmy, we talked to assistant coaches yesterday. Today, obviously, the first time that we'll be allowed out on the practice field with the players for mandatory minicamp. I know it's general because we spoke to literally all of the assistant coaches, but what kind of stood out to you? And because there are two in particular that really caught my attention, but I'm wondering what caught yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rob. I was obviously interested to hear what Rob Moore said about Julio Jones and really kind of his excitement level to be working with him. I mean, he's obviously worked with some really good receivers over the years, from Samuel Watkins to Michael Crabtree to Monty Cooper and Amari Cooper, I should say, and now he's welcoming in a guy who's a future Hall of Famer, and just Rob Moore had a heck of a career himself. Went to a couple of Pro Bowls, played 12 years in the league, so it was kind of neat to hear him gush about the opportunity to coach Julio Jones and just the way he arrived and handled himself from the first day. I thought that was cool. I thought, from that, you heard about the commitment to blocking, and yes, his team loses Corey Davis, but he's going to stress that part of it and says that Julio Jones sets a great example there. So that was one. I did bounce around. I think I made it into all but one. And, Jim Haslett talking about, Rashawn Evans and how good offseason he's had. I know it's an important year for him, a year where he's looking to bounce back. And then I guess Anthony Midget talking about the young corners, Elijah Molden and Caleb Farley, and just trying to get those guys up to speed and excitement of working with them, and Janoris Jenkins. I guess those are the conversations I was dialed into the most, although it was certainly kind of a free-for-all for that hour and a half.
Yeah, well, I got bailed out yesterday. They did it in the middle of the radio show, so I didn't have to stress myself. I just put on Rob Moore, kicked up my feet, Jim, and listened to him talk about Julio. It was a much easier process for me. But to that point about Rob Moore and Julio, something that stood out to me from that availability, Jimmy, is Rob Moore talking about Julio having earned the right to have input on how it is that he goes through practice, the drills that they're asking him to do, what he does like, what he doesn't like. You've covered this team certainly for long enough. You've been around the league long enough for certain. Are there other examples where you can cite of coaches kind of saying, outside of the quarterback position, because I think quarterbacks get a little more leeway. Are there any other examples that you can cite of players who have earned that right from coaches to be able to have input on how they go about their day-to-day?
Yeah, I don't know if they have. I think Randy Moss probably did some of that, but I think I was Randy being Randy. I mean, he was going to do things his way, and I don't think that anybody was going to tell him different. I mean, he came here after being waived and was claimed off waivers. He was kind of playing out the string here. And, of course, Andre Johnson was here, but I don't think any of those guys maybe earned the right that Julio Jones to have a little say in what he wants to do. I thought that was interesting as well, because I wondered myself, this is a guy that's played, 10 years of league. He's been to 7 Pro Bowls. He obviously knows how to get, his business taken care of. How's Rob Moore going to handle him while he's also trying to coach up young receivers who are doing it for the first time? So before I even got to my question, Rob addressed that. I think it was the second question. I thought that was interesting too. I mean, and I think Julio, obviously, team guy. He's not going to rock the boat. He's going to do what he's coached to do. But the fact that he can maybe pick his spots on some things, I think that is interesting. And I can't say that I've ever heard of that before. And certainly, I don't think the Titans have been in a position where they've had a lot of guys around that have kind of earned that right coming in to have it, kind of their way.
Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. We're talking about storylines, basically, heading into Titans mandatory minicamp the last week before the team breaks for the summer and comes back for training camp. Jimmy, I know that the news has not been made official by the team about Hassan French, the tight end the power forward trying to become a tight end from St. Louis University, other than him posting it on his Instagram story yesterday. But what has been made official is the Titans adding Adam Kuhn, the Michigan wrestler who's trying to transition into an NFL offensive lineman, really the first experience that he's had with football since high school. This is not uncommon for teams to try and do this around the league, but what do you make of the Titans at one position officially confirmed at this point, trying to take some chances on guys who may not be ready right away, but if this 16-man practice squad goes through under the regulations that we were dealing with last year, guys that you can kind of stash with great potential on a team's practice squad while you've got the expanded ones.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time to do it, and we saw, some tryout guys, for the rookie camp, and Kalijah Lipscomb ends up earning a roster spot based on what he did. It's not going to surprise you if there are a couple of guys out there kind of on tryouts. I've noticed across the league, players are in mini camps trying out, and sometimes these guys will do enough to kind of stick around. Sometimes, they'll come and go, and maybe you just make a note that if you need help at that position down the road or you develop them, that's when you get a guy. Kuhn is a little different because he is on the 90. They've invested a little bit in him to kind of give him a longer look. He's got a long way to go. I saw him on the practice field last week. Obviously, he's huge. He's athletic. Mike Vrabel talked about his skill set and the skill set that wrestlers have and how that'll help him in the competition. But the reality is, he hadn't played football since he was in high school. And so he's adjusting to technique, and he's adjusting to really how to play the game and dealing with an NFL playbook. And it's going to take time. I think, obviously, he's a long shot to make the roster, but maybe he does enough to earn, an extra look in camp and maybe get himself in a practice squad, or again, at least have it filed away that, get a little bit of body of work with the team where they know what you're about. And I think, with the tight end position and maybe some other spots, I think the team is still looking. I look at tight end, and I look at, maybe even corner after Kevin Johnson's retirement and, edge. I think there's still some positions where John Robinson is going to add some players for training camp competition and potentially more. And I think this is kind of just a part of the process.
Now I know you're not going to give me any inside information here, but is John trolling us on Instagram with that picture of him on the phone on the boat, Jimmy? What is he doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah. On the boat, that may have been the boat. I haven't seen that tweet out, but the picture of him on the boat might have been kind of a flashback to him closing the deal on Julio Jones, because he was on a pontoon boat that weekend. Is that the one you're referring to?
No, so he took it's a new Instagram picture. So this was over the weekend. John posted from his Instagram account. It's just, back in the lab, he's on the boat on the phone, and I swear he's getting as bad as you and me for clicks, Jimmy. I think this is something that's been set aflame with the Julio Jones trade.
Yeah, well, maybe he is trying to maybe drop a hint. Maybe he's trying to reel in another big fish out there.
I love to see it. With the tight end position specifically, after Ferkser, you've got the two notable undrafted rookie free agents in Briley Moore and Miller Forrestall. You have Tommy Hudson on the roster as well. Jeff Swain we haven't yet seen, but I assume we'll see more full attendance given that mandatory minicamp is officially underway. What do you make of the players behind Ferkser at that position right now? Because people continue to bring up or ask questions about Jared Pinkney, Jimmy, and outside of a situation where we may not know, I can't understand why he hasn't been in attendance yet, because it seems like he's got a good opportunity here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I kind of talked him up when the Titans signed him early in the offseason. He's been with Atlanta last year, and kind of looked at him as a guy who had a great chance to earn a roster spot in a good position. And here we are, starting minicamp. He wasn't around for any of the OTAs. That one just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I understand guys like Derrick Henry and Bud Dupree and Roger Saffold and some of these guys that we'll see today for the first time this offseason. I understand those guys kind of doing their own thing and being here for minicamp. I don't get it with a guy like Pinkney, who I really liked early in his career at Vanderbilt, and then he kind of went out with a whimper. Not all his fault, but they just went on a very good team. But and then for him to try to make a good impression, he kind of blew that in my mind, because I think if you're going to make a good impression, you're here all the way through the OTAs, and you're showing you're committed, and you're showing you're all in. And so hopefully he's out there today for his from his perspective. And I think he's going to have a hard time making up for lost time, to be honest with you. I still look at that position as one where they're going to add to it. Right now they're trying to get as many reps for these young guys and get along the look as possible, but I still think more help's coming at that position. It's just a matter of who and when, and that's ultimately probably not going to be a good sign for Pinkney or maybe some of these other guys. I think there's still spots to be had on the practice squad. I just think it's going to be Ferkser, Swaim, and somebody that's not on the roster right now when they get down to 53.
No, I think that's a completely reasonable assumption at this point, given that, Vrabel has been telling these guys that the most important thing that they can do right now is make an impression. And what Pinkney has done is leave no impression whatsoever. He's just flat out not been out there, much less he's disappointed Jim Wyatt, so we can't have that at all here on 104.5 The Zone. So with that being said, Jim, a more complete position at this point, wide receiver. Julio makes all the difference in the world. I expect at some point we'll see A.J. Brown out there as well, understanding that he's been around the facility, working through the rehabilitation process with other players. But I think somebody who has come up, or we've seen a little more of here lately, is Marcus Johnson. Now, him and Chester Rogers are probably the two most under-discussed players at that position in terms of trying to find a place on the depth chart. Have either of them stood out to you in any way at all, just through watching what limited time we've been allowed to at OTAs?
Well, Marcus Johnson had a great day last week. I mean, he had a couple of touchdown catches, really stood out. And some of those other guys have flashed, but I tell you what, once Julio got there, you can get to 4 really quick. I mean, you got Julio, you got AJ, you got Josh Reynolds, and then you got Des Fitzpatrick, who are all going to make it. And then, I think you're keeping either 5 or 6. I think Racing McMath, I've actually been really impressed with him. Just his toughness, making some tough catches, and certainly looks the part. So there's 5, and then there's a bunch of other guys that are competing to try to stick. And so, yeah, I think some of those guys are competing for practice squad spots. I do think, there's some spots to be had there. But, the dynamics of that room change when you bring a guy like Julio Jones in, because there's not going to be many reps to go around, and you're going to use your primary 3-4 guys. So, they're going to battle through camp just to see who can maybe stick for maybe one spot and then practice squad spots.
Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. His mailbag is out today, available for you to peruse right now. Jimmy, what's the most ridiculous mailbag question you've gotten today?
I tell you what, I didn't get any crazy ones this week. It's all about the Julio right now. What I continue to stress, it's not a crazy question, but it's one that keeps coming up, and one I hate to keep disappointing. But I think, a lot of fans are chomping at the bit to watch the Titans and see practices and
Right.
be out there for training camp, and I get it because there is a lot of excitement around the team, but I do try to provide kind of hints of what's to come, and I think we all know it because we're out there, we see the I'm looking across the parking lot right now and I see the practice field. The parking lots around the practice field has got all kinds of. It's a construction zone. I mean,
Right.
And the facility is a construction zone. So, I get questions each week just about what to expect for camp, and the reality is there's not going to be open practices like there have been in years past here. There's going to be something at Nissan Stadium, but not going to be just training camp open, 10, 12, 15 dates a year where you can show up early and watch practices. Unfortunately, the facility is just not in a position for that to happen. So that's become a regular in the mailbag. And then a whole lot of Julio, a lot of questions about position battles here, this week.
Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com here with us on 104.5 The Zone. So, yeah, Jimmy, I think they're going to keep the vultures like me out until basically November. Like, that's probably what's going to happen at this point. I have no plans to get back into our media room that smells like Teresa Walker's microwave mashed potatoes anytime soon.
Yeah, and hopefully, hopefully we'll be in a position where we have some open availability. I mean, that'll be a big change from last year. What that looks like, I guess that kind of remains to be seen. A lot of it's going to be up to the league and up to Robbie Bourne and the media relations crew. But hopefully we do get some return to normalcy and have some live interviews at least instead of being on Zooms on a regular basis.
Vandy winning the College World Series?
Hopefully, I think they got a shot. I mean, they've certainly been there before, tested, got two really good pitchers. You have to hit the ball a little bit better, I think, and they're playing a team right out of the gate that can score a lot of runs. So, as long as they can get to the finals, and they got a shot.
He is at Hawkins Field watching the Vandy boys. He is hiding in trees trying to get the best angle of Julio Jones at St. Thomas Sports Park. He is Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com. Jimmy, always a pleasure to catch up with you. I'll see you out of practice later.
Okay, thank you, Buck. Have a good day.
There he is, the great one. The visor is iconic. It cracked me up to see him on the television broadcast, him and his lovely wife out there taking in some college baseball. But you know what I took away from that, Lucas? Jimmy has been consistently adamant about the Titans adding at the tight end position. I think that's worth talking about. Why don't we do that? And we have callers waiting patiently on the other side for their chance to win a pair of Titans tickets. Celebration of 615 Day. Tell us how you're doing it creatively. All that and more coming up next. I'm Buck Reising, and this is 104.5 The Zone.
Every great Titans moment can be found here. Your home for Titans football and the flagship of Titans radio. 104.5 The Zone.
football. It's hard to hit. He don't take no hit.
Rackham, Gilbert in Pasadena, California, bringing it strong today to start the show. And Gilbert, here's what I'll say, because no running back has ever rushed for as many as 1,500 yards in a season after rushing for 2,000. Remember, there's only 8 of them, including Derek, that have ever accomplished such a feat. Now, this expanded regular season will give him the opportunity to be the first to eclipse 1,500 after rushing for 2,000, much less 2,000 yards back-to-back. It would be incredibly impressive. I mean, we're talking about this man, and I going back to as recently as last summer, before they extended him, I was having a hard time talking myself into a Derrick Henry extension, and it was stupid. It was foolishness because for the same reason that, Gilbert, you're calling in and you're wanting people to appreciate more of what they're watching, and I've done this bit before about Derrick Henry's greatness almost being, I take it for granted sometimes because he's the only running back that I've really covered during my time with the Titans. I got 1 year of 2 years of DeMarco Murray, 1 year of DeMarco in 1 year of DeMarco because he was here for 2. 2016, he had a great year. 2017, his body started to fall apart on him. That was the DeMarco Murray that I got to cover. Derrick Henry had not quite found his footing yet. And ever since then, all he has done is run through people's face masks. And you're right. I mean, he's physically built in such a way that it is difficult. That's why they practice with that helmet on a stick drill that you see us tweeting out from practice where it's just Mike Vrabel swatting at the ball, and they got an assistant coach holding a helmet, an actual helmet, on the end of a stick, poking it at Derrick's lower extremities. That's how they practice the stiff arm. It is he's unlike any athlete that I've ever seen in my time watching football. And so, yeah, every once in a while, it's okay to just call it and give Derrick Henry his flowers. I'm looking forward to seeing him today at Titans mandatory minicamp because the expectation is that they are looking at almost complete attendance outside of the players who will not be able to participate on the field for medical reasons. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. Man, Bree's been waiting almost a half an hour to tell us how he's celebrating 615 Day. Go ahead, Breeze. What's going on, brother?
Well, real quick, about the Derrick Henry, he wasn't doing nothing, and he talks to Eddie George, and by God, Eddie done lit a fire under that buttocks and sent him on, son.
That's right.
And he ain't let up since. I love it, and I think we are watching history right now. My favorite running back of all time was Barry Sanders, and I swear I think this guy is going to outdo him, and I'm enjoying it. But, hey, 615 was setting up the air balloon as we speak, and I'm going to do everything, or we're going to do everything we can to get right over Nissan Stadium.
Oh, that sounds outstanding.
Would that not be cool to see Julio Jones have a ball thrown to him, and I'm going to reach down and grab that ball and go, ha-ha, and I'm going to give it to you, Cat Daddy.
Hey, you love to hear it, Breeze. We appreciate the call, my brother. Enjoy the day and continue your love of running backs, man. There are so many great ones that we've seen around the league, and that's what makes Derrick Henry so unique in what he's doing because of the time period that he's doing it in, where people like Aaron Schatz, a Football Outsider, whose work, by the way, I respect, until you give me arguments about how Derrick Henry's not the best running back in the league because he doesn't catch enough passes. Like, that kind of stuff is so stupid to me. It just, it reeks of people not paying close enough attention to what this man is doing. And so, I'll make that argument until I can't talk anymore, Lucas, which would be bad because then we'd be both out of jobs.
I was screening a call. Breeze is celebrating how? Going to minicamp?
He said it sounded like he said he was going to fly balloons over Nissan Stadium, reach down and catch a ball that's thrown to Julio Jones, which I think would be, a violation of, air traffic control in the Nashville area. But I appreciate the passion anyway. I just hope he does it safely. 615-737-1045. It's like one of those disclaimers that we need, like on the movie Jackass, where they're talking about these stunts are performed by trained professionals. Please do not attempt this at home. And then that's all we did in grade school was go out and do the stunts that Jackass tried to do because we were idiots. 615-737-1045. Let's go to Taylor in the borough. Been waiting patiently on line 2. Good morning, Taylor. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Buck. I'm doing good.
Stay with me here. So 615 day, you got to start off by hopping in your car. You drive over to Edley's Barbecue.
Okay.
Shout out to the show sponsors. You get you a bushwhacker, a tug special. You got to load up on those carbs. You hop in your car with your Nashville sticker on one side, your 30A sticker in the other. You drive down to an expensive parking lot downtown, park your car, pay your fee, hop on one of them bird scooters, go ahead and take that over, get you a shot at Tootsie's for old time's sake.
Yep.
Get yourself, hop on a pedal tavern. If you're female, feel free to woo. If you're male, feel free to pull a nature boy. Woo!
That's right.
Then you go ahead and listen to some daytime music. Always tip your artists. We support local. You go up, you cross that pedestrian bridge, you shotgun you a beer out of a catfish up on the top. You can call Taylor on your daddy if you want. It's up to you. You go ahead and stumble your way down to Poncho and Lefty's. You get you a Mad Dog margarita and a double taco. Try to soak up some more of that. Then we're safe and responsible in 615. You go ahead and hop you an Uber. You take that home and you get to bed early because you got work tomorrow. And that's your happy 615 day.
Amen, my brother. That's the truth. Taylor is officially the leader in the clubhouse. By the way, Ed Leeds does not work with this show, but if they want to, give us a call.
That's quite a day.
That's a hell of a day. I don't know how he's standing after that. Taylor currently leading in the clubhouse for this pair of Titans tickets that we will send you to see a future Titans game to celebrate Dad's Week on this 615 day. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. Coming up next, we'll continue to talk about Titan storylines, minicamp observations that I'm looking forward to, and, of course, your calls. I'm Buck Reising. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on Blaine and Mickey.
Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated is going to join us to talk name, image, likeness, the college football playoff expansion, and a lot more.
And Coach Dave McGinnis joins us for the Tuesday edition of the Mac Attack, as well as some Titans players.
Today, starting at 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
For a lot of people, it's clothing, or maybe they've heard you talking about a new phone case because your phone is always listening to you at all times. I myself have talked about needing to buy a new trash can. All of a sudden, there are ads all over the place for new and improved trash cans that I can swipe up and purchase right there. But yes, there are Instagram-sponsored posts going around of people trying to get, I guess, locals in the Nashville area, or transplants, more importantly, because the locals are looking. And I'm not a local, but I am a transplant of almost 6 years. So I'm going to go ahead and consider myself not a native, but a local. But everybody's looking at these Nashville Needs an Ocean T-shirts and saying, what the hell is this? Get this, send this into the sun. This is the worst part about all of the people moving down here. And I myself am one of them, but I got here before all the buildings started to be built in earnest. So I feel like I'm entitled to say that. Grouchy old man shaking my fist at the sun, telling people with different license plates to get the hell off 40. That is the place that I find myself, Lucas. 615-737-1045. But we are rewarding you guys with a chance to win these Titans tickets. We'll give them away at 12:15 specifically. But we want to know how you're celebrating 615 Day. Now, we've had some clever nominees so far. Lucas and I will tell you how we intend to spend our June the 15th momentarily. But let's go to Barbara, who has been waiting very patiently. She is in Nashville. She's going to tell us how she's celebrating 615 Day. Hello, Barbara.
Hey there. Good morning. So I wake up this morning. My husband, he wears black tie, Oxford, like not dress pants, but, like work pants, and a polo shirt, dark colors to work. But this morning he gets up, he puts on cargo shorts, he puts on a T-shirt, and he puts on his lawn mowing shoes. And he's ready to walk out the door. And I'm like, well, you look terrible. What are you doing? And he goes, 615, it's weed day. And I'm like, okay, have a good day, honey. Bye. So I cannot wait to tell my kids what he has done. And I can't wait for him to get to work.
That is outstanding. Barbara, that is an exceptional nomination. Thank you for waiting patiently. We will enter your name into this.
You're welcome.
That is well done. Happy 615 to Happy Weed Day to Barbara and her husband, who is attending work, dressed like he's going out to cut the grass.
That's good stuff. I love that she just let him go. Just didn't,
All right,
okay,
honey.
Have a great day.
Go get him. Quick pat on the butt out the door.
Fun at work.
Happy
Weed Day, everybody.
That's right. Just struts it. I mean, we didn't ask what he does for a living, so I think that is an important part of the conversation, because clearly he has to be going somewhere that is going to be accepting of his attire.
Well, I love that he wanted to be more casual for Weed Day.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Hey.
I don't need to wear my polo. It's Weed Day.
Great vibes. 615-737-1045. Barbara, I still think, I'll be honest, I still think Taylor in Murfreesboro is leading the clubhouse, but Barbara and her husband, dressed up for Weed Day, are bringing it strong. Let's go to Cody in Kingsport, who has also been waiting very patiently on line 5. Hello, Cody. How are we?
How are you, Buck?
I'm great, brother.
I wanted to tell you that you are very deserving of your own show. I've been listening to you for a while, and this is the first time I've actually called in. What I'm doing for 615 Day is I'm actually a healthcare worker, so I am working while I'm listening to you. When I'm not doing any x-rays, any nursing homes or anything, I'm listening to you all, and you all basically cheer me up through my day if I have any bad days or anything. So I want to say first, I appreciate you on that.
Hey, no doubt. We appreciate all the work that you do.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate it. We don't get enough of it, to be honest with you.
That is the truth.
When I get home tonight, I'm going to be so hyped up from your all show that I'm probably going to throw down some homemade moonshine, and like Taylor One does at the Preds games. And then when I do that, I'm going to throw up my glass of moonshine and say like A.J. Brown did in his TikTok and say, Julio!
There it is. That's what they're going to say when he catches touchdowns, Cody. That's what they're going to say when he makes a catch. They don't even do that for me. Thank you for the call, Cody, and thank you for all that you do, and all our healthcare workers, man. That makes me very happy to hear that we can, because it's a silly thing that we get to do for 3 hours a day. But if our show can make people, get through their workday a little faster and get through much more difficult work environments than the one that Lucas and I have created here, because our show is a bit of a circus, and we are, we're happy to do what I don't want to call us entertaining, but if we can entertain the rest of you, then it makes us feel like we're getting the job
It's
done.
a smart move by Cody going with the flattery route.
Oh, no, he sold me 100%. All you got to do is say nice things to me.
I think I'm liking Cody.
He's giving me those Giles County vibes. Is it Giles or Giles? Am I going to say? Damn it. Damn it.
We're going to do a Tennessee geography beat. It's in the works. We'll do it in July.
Well, you better figure out and work it around my vacation, bud, because I'm not coming back just to do a geography beat and embarrass myself.
You'll be back from your vacation in Giles County.
As soon as I said Giles, I was like, it's Giles. It has to be. There's no way that I hit that. 615-737-1045. Jake is in Union City. He is back with us, and he's going to tell us how he's celebrating 615 Day. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, home of John Robertson. How are you doing, man?
Jake or John?
Jake.
Okay, Jake. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, I'm Union City, Tennessee, hometown of John Robertson. I'm at work. Can't really celebrate much, but I bought me and my son a Julio jersey, so hopefully I can take him to the game.
Very nice. Julio! There it is. Hey, Jake, getting the people going. Thank you, Jake. Hometown of John Robinson. That's right.
That's not a bad submission. Hometown of John Robinson, and he wants to go with his son.
I'll take that.
It is Dad's Week.
Hometown of J-Rob is a dad unto himself. So let me write that down. Jake in Union City, hometown of J-Rob, looking to rock a Julio Jones jersey for him and his son at Nissan Stadium. Very cool. I'll be honest. So we're going to get into, because I've got assistant coach audio that I want you guys to hear. I want to talk about Julio Jones. I want to get into some storylines that I'm mainly focused on. I know we went through a handful with Jimmy, but I'd like to expand on that. And I'd also like to talk about Derrick Henry probably not getting the Madden cover. I know that's been a conversation throughout the course of today's programming on The Zone. But I think it is so cool, the experience, because this is going to get I don't know. It's uncomfortable. Okay. Like I'm letting people in a little bit, and I don't know how I feel about that, but I never got to go to a sporting event with my dad. And so I think it's so fantastic when you have that ability to bond over something like sports, a father and son relationship or a father and daughter relationship. It is so cool when you get to have that shared experience of joy in victory or of pain and defeat, but it's a shared emotion, something that, is embedded in the fabric of so many families throughout certainly the state of Tennessee, whether it's the Vols or the Titans or Vanderbilt, the Preds, anything like that. I think I always focus on those because it's not an experience that I ever got to have myself. So anytime somebody brings that up, it gives me all the warm and fuzzies, because I know that's going to mean the world to your son, your daughter, whomever you're choosing to take to sporting events with you as a family unit. I think that's one of the coolest things. I think that's one of the best things about sports is it's the one thing that is not, everything is hyperpolarized nowadays, but sports is the least among them, because you can all hate Colts fans together no matter your political affiliations. If you're a Titans fan, you can get together with the Colts fans. You can hate the Jags together. It's a beautiful thing. Love and community through hatred in sports. That's the best part of this thing. 615-737-1045. When we come back, though, I'm going to get into some Titans minicamp storylines that I'm focused on. I got 3 of them in particular. You're going to hear from a handful of assistant coaches on some of these guys who I am most interested in watching. That's what's coming up next. And if you want to chime in, feel free to do so. I'm Buck Reising. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Titans football, the passion that unites us all. Your home for Titans football and the flagship of Titans radio. 104.5 The Zone.
on the same page with all of his skill position players. The biggest thing when the Titans made the change from Mariota to Tannehill, one of the biggest things I remember talking to a handful of the wide receivers about, not anyone in particular that I can recall, but one of the biggest themes of that was just how much more Tannehill drilled them on route concepts, the depth at which they're running their routes, when to cut in, how many steps before they officially execute their route, or the minutia that goes in to the chemistry of quarterback and wide receiver, all of the things that you need to be basically surgical on. And that's what Ryan Tannehill has been throughout the course of his time with this offense as the starting quarterback. He has been surgical. He has been precise. And it's not just because he himself is otherworldly accurate, although I'm sure that has a great deal to do with it. You can't get anywhere without accuracy, of course, and the ability to read the field and read the defense. But what he does with the wide receivers also puts them in a position to maximize the throws, the route concepts, the offense in general that Tannehill is trying to get done. So how he will develop this chemistry, of course, this is, the last week before they take some time away, all of them. The NFL is going to go on summer vacation, for lack of a better term, until training camp, and then they'll have more time to workshop these things further. But we talked to Rob Moore, the wide receivers coach for the Titans, yesterday, because the burden is going to be on Tannehill, but Julio Jones' reputation as a teammate lends itself to that theory too.
I think, well, without question, I think his resume kind of speaks for itself. He's had a great career thus far, and I'm quite sure it's something he plans on continuing. In terms of what he brings to the team, he brings a player that has made big plays, played in big game situations, brings size, speed, range, all the things you want in a playmaker.
All the things you want in a playmaker. His reputation, his resume speaks for itself. That's Rob Moore, the Titans wide receivers coach, talking about his new pupil, Julio Jones. Now, something else that Rob said stood out to me as well. And we got into this a little bit with Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com. If you missed that interview, you can check out the podcast. It's the Buck Reising Show in your favorite podcast app. But essentially, Rob, in a way that I haven't heard coaches do outside of the quarterback position, Rob is saying that Julio Jones is going to have input into what his day-to-day looks like and how he goes about his practice habits, how he manages himself physically. That's something that I think is uncommon among players. This was Rob Moore on that very subject about allowing Julio to largely, or at least have input in managing himself.
I think, being at what he's done already and, thus far in his career, he's earned the right to, to kind of have some say in terms of how he does things. And I think, in the conversations I've had with him, and there haven't been very many yet, but we've kind of talked about that a little bit in terms of, how he'll progress through the rest of this mini camp and into training camp and how he'll get, how we'll prepare him, as we move forward with the regular season. But, I think it'll be a kind of an open conversation. I'll give him some thoughts that I have and we'll come to a resolution from there.
That, again, is Rob Moore, the Titans wide receiver coach, talking about how they're going to manage Julio Jones. That comes up a lot when you talk about Julio, especially over the course of the last two seasons. Julio does not really practice. He does the things necessary to get himself to Sundays, but outside of that, he's found ways to efficiently manage his body now a decade into the league. He has now been in the NFL 10 years. And by the way, this is the first time that Julio will be working or have a legitimate change at starting quarterback for the first time ever in his time during the NFL. It's been Matt Ryan almost all the way through for Julio in terms of the starting quarterback that he has familiarized himself with and the chemistry that they have been able to create. There's no question that is not It doesn't happen overnight. But we spoke with Julio last week. He said that he's already been out to dinner with Ryan Tannehill. You see how much time the quarterback, or at least we get the opportunity as media, in the limited availability that we have out there, to see how much extra time Tannehill spends with these guys after the play in 7-on-7, while the backups are taking the reps, working with his starting wide receivers, his tight ends, that he's out there during 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 with. How much time they spend after practice just kind of going through the motions and trying to replicate in a short amount of time, because they've only been around for a short amount of time, trying to replicate some of that chemistry that Tannehill had with Corey Davis and that Julio Jones has or had with Matt Ryan. I mean, there's not anything to worry about at this point, but it is going to be the focal point of this mini camp now that they will have extended work together. It's a big deal that Tannehill showed up 2 weeks ago and that Julio was here last week. That Julio Jones felt it necessary as a teammate, as a new member of this organization, to drive up from Atlanta just for 1 day of OTAs. It sends a powerful message to all of the what Shrike, our friend on Twitter, Shrike says the thing that he's looking for most at Titans minicamp is all the O faces, all the looks of shock and awe from all the other members of the Tennessee Titans watching Julio Jones work. Because it's true. They were absolutely locked onto him while he was going through individual drills, while he's out there working with the quarterback. It's not lost on me that the first pass that Ryan Tannehill threw of last week's OTAs was to Julio Jones. It's going to be a work in progress, but I think that you should have trust in the body of work of these two players to find a way to efficiently replicate that or create that in a short amount of time. They'll go on vacation. They'll come back for training camp. They'll have plenty of time to work out the kinks, and we'll see what the finished product looks like come September. It's going to be very exciting. And as Wyatt said, you know, it's unfortunate. You guys aren't going to be able to watch training camp practices in a way that you did pre-COVID this year. The facility being under construction is going to take away a lot of that. And I hate that, because that's a great opportunity for you guys to come and see the team at a time when, you know, everything is still being worked through. You can see the process of the team building during training camp and what strides players make throughout the course of the week if you go to multiple days, and how the coaches interact with the players on the practice field, what they're teaching them. So that part of it, you're going to be missed in that regard. But it's why it's so great that we have the ability to give away 2 Titans tickets today for the most creative way that you guys are getting involved in 615 Day. We'll get to Race and Pegram here in just a second, because I have 2 more storylines that I'm paying attention to that I want to let you hear from Titans assistant coaches. But Race has been waiting patiently on line 1. Race, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Race, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. I'm at work right now, but after I get done with work today, I'll be going catfish noodling in the Harpeth River.
Okay. That's some down home stuff. So what exactly does that look like, Race? Because I've never done that in my life before.
Well, see, the catfish, they make like a hole in the bank, kind of like a raccoon or a fox or so. Their nest, they're actually laying eggs right now. They're having babies. So what you do is you go along the creek bank or the river bank and fill in with your hands or your feet, and you just reach in there and grab them by the mouth.
You're kidding. So you stick your hand like down. I've seen this stuff on like Nat Geo and like Animal Planet. I didn't know people like did this for fun. So you straight up stick your hand down the hole and like try to pull them out by the mouth?
Yeah, so they actually make a really funny noise too. They'll make like a hump noise.
That's hilarious. Well, Race, enjoy your afternoon. I hope that you're successful in catfish noodling. I don't think I'd ever do it, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
A strong contender to me.
I think that is the root, or that is not the
Where
root.
is he?
The root is into the Titans. No, he's not currently in the Titans radio studio because Liz Allison and Schaefer are in there taping or recording Race Night. But I am interested. I would go one time. Like if one of the members of the audience wanted to take me catfish noodling, like I would go. I would probably hate it, but I would want to go for the experience because that is genuine Tennessee recreational activity. And it's, we're city boys, Lucas. We're city slickers. We don't. We're not, I mean, maybe we go out to the Harpeth River. Maybe we canoe. Maybe we think about sticking our hand down a catfish.
I might canoe on the Harpeth today. I live right off the Harpeth.
Oh, okay. Well, because that's right out there by Ainsworth, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there in Bellevue.
Okay, not trying to give away Lucas's apartment location for the people who would come for his neck, but it seems like people are slowly gravitating towards Lucas over me because somebody changed their name in the Twitch Middays with Lucas.
My plan is working.
Yeah, the takeover is underway. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. Catfish noodling. Sounds interesting. In the meantime, two other storylines that I'm paying attention to out at Titans mandatory minicamp today. Now, the competition at right tackle is interesting because I have not yet seen Kendall Lamb outside of a Zoom call. I assume that he will be there today. Their expectation is that he will be there today. Ty Sambrailo has not been out there as well. We're talking offensive line at this point. Sambrailo played on the left side, has made a journeyman career out of being a swing tackle. So he, in theory, is able to provide competition there as well. But the second-round pick is Dylan Radins. Now, Dylan Radins has played inside at this point. He has played guard, and he has played tackle. He has been primarily on the right side. They are looking for different ways that they can incorporate him into this offensive line. Of course, they're chasing Isaiah Wilson, unfortunately, but it seems like Keith Carter, the offensive line coach, likes what he is seeing from Radins at this point. We spoke with him via Zoom yesterday in our Titans media availabilities. This is what Keith Carter said has stood out about the rookie second-round pick out of North Dakota State.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think one thing is we just keep reminding them like there's no, from a technique standpoint, we are always going to strive to play with great technique, but at some point you got to take all that out of it and see a picture, make a decision, and play as fast and as violent as humanly possible. And I think the more we drill them that way, the more we rep them that way, and the more he trusts us that, hey, if you give us the right effort and the right finish, we'll coach the technique on the run. But you have to capture our style of play first. And it's not that he doesn't play hard, but it's like you're saying, it's kind of giving himself permission that like, hey, man, nobody's saying you have to take the perfect first step. We want you to take a good first step, but there's an element of, hey, get the attitude and the aggressiveness right, and then the rest will kind of fall into line.
So that is Keith Carter, the Titans offensive line coach, kind of working the media or walking the media through what they're trying to get Radins to focus on. He's an incredibly analytical player, and sometimes that can bog athletes down. I talked about this yesterday for my weekly 3HL appearance with Ron Slay and Don Davenport. I think Brent's somewhere in Texas. Him and his son out on long snapping recruiting visits.
Yeah, they were at Texas Tech most recently, and then they're headed to Dallas for something next.
Texas Tech is in Lubbock, right?
Yes.
Okay. Lubbock, Texas. I wonder what that's like in June. That sounds awful. Awful. Anyway. So, what can happen with athletes, and this isn't the first time you've heard this, I'm certain, but when you talk about one of Vrabel's slogans, right, one of the things that's plastered across the practice field at St. Thomas Sports Park, play fast and aggressive. Play fast and aggressive, also know what to do. But in that order, okay? Play fast and aggressive, then know what to do. Now, sometimes that could get you into trouble. Ask the Titans defense last year. But with Radins, they're trying to get him to understand, as Carter laid out there, hey, it's not going to be perfect. You're not always going to get the opportunity to get the perfect first step when you're trying to execute their run blocking scheme, or if you're trying to get your perfect pass set in. It's not always going to be executed 100% the way that it needs to go. That's just not life in the NFL, or really, for that matter, life in general. But if we can get him to remove a little bit of the things, the processing on the focus on getting that perfect first step, and just allow him to naturally play with the speed and aggression, the violence that they like to coach up, then it can make up for maybe not necessarily getting the perfect first step. It's not like they're saying they don't want them to be technically sound, but they don't want the rookie specifically to get so bogged down in the technicalities of the position that he loses a little bit of that, natural athletic ability and natural violence that makes him successful at playing tackle, or if he should play at guard for any particular reason this year. They've been working him in at both spots to this point. So the competition there, we're going to see it develop more this week because you'll have the veterans back in attendance, mandatory minicamp with the rookies as well. Radens, Sambrelo, and Kendall Lamb at this point, the most viable contenders for the Titans' hole at right tackle. And then finally, there's Caleb Farley. People keep asking me for updates. I'm sure Wyatt or Glennon or all of our Titans media friends have been getting peppered about this as well. Why isn't Caleb Farley out on the field? Where is he in his rehab? What are the updates? And the best that we can give you at this point is that he's not practicing, and that Anthony Midget basically said he's, all of them, didn't make it individual about Caleb, but all of them are doing well at learning the ropes in the NFL, taking the meetings well. And in the case of Caleb Farley, there has been no indication, because he has not been able to, of how he is going to be able to take the meetings to the practice field, which is, of course, the steps that they're trying to work the rookies through at this point. Perhaps we'll have more clarity on Caleb Farley throughout the course of this week, although I doubt we will get any clarity until an injury report is mandated. And if such time that an injury report is mandated and he's still on the injury report, then you got bigger problems. But those are the three things that I'm paying most attention to. Now, side note, we are expecting to see A.J. Brown out there. Derrick Henry is going to be in attendance. A.J. Brown, it will be the first time that we have seen him since his offseason knee procedures, plural. And so it will be interesting to see the way that he interacts with the wide receiving core, now also featuring Julio Jones. We are going to so Lucas, I know we have Titans tickets, but I've been telling the people that we're going to give the Titans tickets away at 12:15. So what I want to do now, because we have other Dad's Week prizes, we're going to continue to give people the opportunity to win these Titans tickets. But right now, you can be caller number 5 for a chance to go see Three Doors Down at Ascend Amphitheater. This is a part of the Dad's Week celebration that we are having with dads, fathers, and sons across the week leading up unto Father's Day, of course, this weekend, which Lucas tells me he is adequately prepared for. So it's Dad's Week on 104.5 The Zone. If you are caller number 5 for right now, be caller number 5 right now for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Three Doors Down with special guest Seether at Ascend Amphitheater on September 25th. 615-737-1045 is how you do so. More Titans minicamp conversation coming up next. I'm Buck Reising. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on the 3HL.
It's day 1 of mandatory minicamp for the Titans. 3:45, Jim Wyatt will join us to recap that. And Nota Begay will talk to us about the U.S. Open at 4:45. Ellen Bell joins us at 5:45.
Today, starting at 3 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
time. Something that this came up last night on the A to Z Sports Primetime Show that I do every Sunday to Thursday night at 8 p.m. on all of their streaming platforms. There was a Madden leak, or not leak, I guess this was a trailer that was released unto the internet, and everybody lost their minds with who could it be? And really, there were more leaks over the course of the day that kind of made people think that it was going to be a Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady double cover, which would sell an enormous amount. Now, my question first and foremost, the bigger thing that comes up is it's probably not going to be Derrick Henry, which is largely stupid, in my opinion, because if you're going to promote Madden NFL 22, there would be no better way to promote it than to use number 22, who's coming off a season where he rushed for 2,000 yards plus. Now, I don't know if people actually care about this. Most people, I imagine, are whether real or it's in their own heads that they are believers in the Madden curse, that players who get on the cover of Madden get injured. I largely think that's an irrelevant thing, and if something happens to Derrick Henry, then you can immediately blame it on the Madden curse, but whatever. It's not that deep. I had somebody ask me if I think Derrick Henry, and we don't know, okay? We don't know, and we will not know until 9 a.m. on Thursday when they are going to release the 2022 Madden NFL cover. But with the trailer that they put out of the two GOATs, trying to bust out the barn, and then Peyton Hillis, who is still one of the most perplexing Madden covers of all time, Peyton Hillis, number 40 for the Browns. That one season where he's just streaking like a shooting star across the sky, never to be heard from again. And then he ended up on the Giants, and he was terrible. But the running back connection made people think, okay, maybe they're going like Earl Campbell and Derrick Henry, two GOATs, two running back positional GOATs. But the more marketable, for whatever reason, understanding that there are marketing opportunities in having number 22 on the cover for Madden NFL 22, you're not going to have problems selling Brady and Mahomes covers. I don't know if this is a slight that Titans fans care about. I don't know if this is something Derrick Henry actually cares about. We'll probably have some opportunity to talk to him at this point in mandatory minicamp, because it'll be the first time that he's back and available to us in some capacity. And I'm sure that he would say, it would be an honor to be asked, whatever. But like the idea that he's actively turning down Madden covers, I don't think that's in Derrick Henry's MO. Now, it's possible, because people forget this about Brady. He's a master troll. And maybe they don't, because his Twitter personality and the team running his social media accounts have been exceptional at their job. But what I will say is that Tom Brady trolled us all with like fake retirement posts that ended up being a Hulu Does Live Sports commercial in the middle of a Super Bowl that he wasn't participating in. It was last season with the Patriots because the Titans bounced him out of New England on a Logan Ryan interception, pick six, game sealed. And then he puts out that cryptic photo of the tunnel at Gillette. And everybody's talking. All of sports media goes nuts.
I totally forgot about that.
Oh, I did not. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was incredible.
It completely engulfed everything that I did. That after the Titans got eliminated by the Chiefs, because Brady made everything that year heading into his free agency about himself.
That was the beginning of Brady becoming an expert troll, because he didn't do that stuff when he was in New England.
Oh, no.
It was all business. But as soon as he leaves, now he's like an internet star.
Yeah, it's wild to me. Well, and I love it, because finally we get to see, after 40 freaking years of Tom Brady, finally we get to see a little personality. Turns out he's funny.
He's kind of likable.
He's kind of hilarious. Tom Brady, lovable underdog, out here kicking your teeth in for yet another Super Bowl. Suck it, Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. I have as many NFC title games as you guys do. Slaps. 1 year in the conference. But so these pictures, because there's pictures going around of Mahomes and Brady standing on like a high school football field together. And that is how people are drawing the conclusions that it will be a joint Madden cover for Brady and Mahomes. But to this end, Brady has done this to us before. So I don't know what to believe. But I think things are trending away from a Derrick Henry Madden cover. Now, does he deserve it? Absolutely. Would this be the most appropriate time to put him on the cover of Madden? I think there's no question. Like, if you're going to capitalize on the market value of Derrick Henry, if you're the Madden franchise, then yes, this is the year that you should do it. 2,000 plus yards, number 22, NFL or Madden NFL 22. This is the optimal time to take advantage of a transcendent star at running back. Because it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't think he's not capable of rushing for 1,500 yards in a way that no other running back has done after a 2,000-yard season. I have no idea whether he's capable of getting back to 2,000 again. I think there's so many factors that go into that. But if anybody could, it's probably Derrick Henry. But to risk, we'll give it to Henry another year in a year where he may not get 2,000 yards, I think it's foolishness. So maybe they will end up surprising us. But in all things NFL marketing, it's always safest to assume that the quarterback is what they're going to go for because the quarterback is going to sell more copies of Madden. And by the way, it's stupid because they don't even, when's the last time you bought a hard copy of a video game, Lucas? I don't know how many video games you're playing right now, but when's the last time?
Oh my God, years.
Right?
Yeah, my girlfriend got me FIFA 18 for my birthday in 2017. That's probably the last time I had a hard copy.
I couldn't tell you the last time I bought a hard copy of a video game.
But I'm not a big gamer anyway. But even big gamers don't buy hard copy anymore.
I don't have time to play video games the way that I used to because I love Warzone and I love Madden and I love Red Dead Redemption. Hell, that got me through the first 3 weeks of lockdown.
Yeah, I did play a lot of that.
So much fun. But so now that, I have 2 jobs and I'm all over the place and it's not even football season and I'm trying to crank out as much content as humanly possible, play less video games. But the idea that quarterbacks are going to sell more Madden covers is stupid because nobody's buying physical Madden covers. You're just downloading them on your gaming system. But anyway, I digress. When we come back, we will be joined by Adam Sparks of the Tennessean in the noon hour, and we will talk about the Vandy boys and his. Listen, we haven't had the opportunity to have Tennessean writers on in quite some time on the Zone. And I'm very happy because Sparks is the best among them without question. And he is the one who I've been pressing Lucas. When can we get Adam Sparks on? Why can I not have Adam Sparks on? Now we can do that. So we'll get into some analysis of the Vandy boys. Your calls as well, 615-737-1045. I'm Buck Reising. This is 1045 The Zone.
The best Titans coverage can be found on your smartphone.
Comeback foiled. Titans 4-2.
1045 The Zone app. Your home for Titans football and the flagship of Titans radio. 1045 The Zone.
Before we are joined by Adam Sparks of the Tennessean, his debut on this show, and Sparks, we are not only celebrating 615 Day, but we are celebrating Adam Sparks, who has done a tremendous job. This was his last week on the Vanderbilt beat. He has been the best since Jim Wyatt left. There's nobody better, right? Like that, there is nobody, and that's no slight on all of the great writers who have come through the Tennessean. The Tennessean has been a different place probably over the course of the last 5 years. I think when Rexroad left is when things kind of shifted dramatically. And of course, David Clymer, who is famous even to people outside the city of Nashville, outside of the state of Tennessee, the famous sports columnist, who, if you've paid attention to sports media and sports journalism at all, you are familiar with. But Sparks, outside of Wyatt, nobody better.
How many reporters come away with a framed jersey of the team that they cover as a thank you gift?
Nobody, as far as I'm concerned.
I haven't seen that.
Listen, if the day ever comes that the Tennessee Titans are rid of me, I will not be receiving a framed Titans.
You might receive something, but it won't be.
It'll be a kick in the ass. Get out. You're done. Be gone. We're finally rid of you. No, it's been. He has done such great work with them. I think they respect the way that he has covered them. It's always been fair and objective in a way that it comes through, and you don't see a lot of people like that. So we're excited to have Sparks as a part of the show. Coming up next, we'll talk some Vandy boys when we get to that. But here, we ourselves are wanting to celebrate 615 Day. Lucas, you have had 2 hours of the show to think about this. You have talked about perhaps canoeing the Harpeth River. Is that something you're just saying in tongue in cheek, or is that something you're actually considering?
No, it's in the works. My roommate and I have been talking about doing that today. We've got this giant canoe just sitting outside of our house.
Do you own the canoe?
He got it from like his uncle up in Clarksville. He just came home with an enormous canoe on the top of his car and was like, "Help me bring this in." So we had to figure out a way to.
Lives in your apartment, the canoe?
No, it's like standing upright outside of our fence in our little backyard, just looming over the entire backyard. It's huge. But I think we're going to do that, but I need to make it quick because I do need to prep for the Nashville Soccer Show tonight, 9 p.m. Myself, Will Bowling, Davey Shepard.
All right, so should I take offense that I was not invited?
What, canoeing?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
And yet I'm still not invited. 615-737-1045. I'll tell you what I'm thinking about doing. Okay, so canoe is your nominee. That is what you're going to do today.
Canoe in the Harpeth.
The mighty Harpeth. Okay.
And the Nashville Soccer Show. That's pretty 615.
That's coming up tonight at 9 p.m. on the airwaves and on your favorite streaming digital platform is where you can hang out with Lucas and Will Bowling. And is Davey Shepard on today?
Yes, we will have Davey Shepard talking Nashville Soccer Club storylines, some Euros. Nashville finally back underway this Friday after 2 weeks off.
Okay, well, you can tell that he has done nothing during the course of this show but watch the Euros at this point, and I am forgiving of that because, of course, he will talk about it later tonight. Eddie is in Nashville. He wants to tell us how he's going to celebrate 615 Day for a chance to win a pair of future Titans tickets, which we will announce the winner at 12:15. So now is the time if you want to take your shot. Eddie, what you got for me, brother?
We're going to barbecue and shoot off some fireworks for 615 Day.
Okay. How in depth are the fireworks going? Like what kind of fireworks we talking here?
What are they called? You can only do them in a certain county. They shoot off the mortars.
The mortars.
That's all you got to say. You can only do them in a certain county.
Okay, so Eddie's bringing out the big go.
What kind of barbecue?
We're going to barbecue some tri-tip and some corn on the cob.
Oh, man, that sounds nice. Eddie, you are probably going to have a better afternoon than many people. So I hope that you enjoy the fireworks show and that you're in a county legal for you to shoot off mortar fireworks.
That's the best answer to that. What kind of fireworks? The kind that's only legal in this county.
Oh, my God. Do you get into fireworks? Like, do you enjoy fireworks?
Nah, I mean, they're fine. I've never been one to just get a giant kick out of blowing things up, but that's just me. But I like them. I mean, I did my fair share of like shooting Roman candles into my friends' eyeballs, as you do when you're a kid.
Into your friends' eyeballs. God, 615-737-1045. Yeah, I hit a Roman candle kick, I think, when I was in grade school, and the Harry Potter movies had just come out, so of course we were acting like we were in Harry Potter and using fireworks, explosives as magic wands, which was not terribly safe or smart. A lot of burn marks, a lot of ashiness. Well, that's a different kind of situation, but a lot of ill-advised firework usage in my youth. 615-737-1045 is how you tell us for a chance to win tickets to a future Titans game, how you are celebrating 615 Day. We have a lot of great nominees. It seems that we will have a few more before the show concludes, but for me, I've been thinking about this, right? Because I've had, we've been having this conversation about, whether I should consider myself and whether you guys should consider me a local or not. 6 years coming up in August. I think that 5 years is the benchmark for most people. I am willing to hear the argument for 10 before I can officially consider myself a local. I do own a home here, so as far as I'm concerned, that and all the stress that went through that is enough to make me feel local. But I've been thinking about this because 6 years in Nashville, I've gotten to see a lot, gotten to do a lot. There's so many great things about this city and the surrounding area that you have to experience to be able to get the feel. Whether it's, you get down here and everybody goes through the Broadway phase in their life. Who among us can say that they haven't gone through the Broadway phase of their life? Most of us, hopefully, graduate from that phase, and you get a little more refined in the places where you choose to spend your time, whether it's Midtown, or maybe Midtown's more a college thing. Maybe that's the transition, Midtown before Broadway, and then you go to the Gulch and Printer's Alley and places where you can have a more relaxed atmosphere and less, shots straight to your face. Or things like Belmead Plantation, or as Lucas is going to do later, canoeing the Harpeth River. So many great and historic restaurants. I don't know if there's concerts going on tonight, but of course live music should factor in, I would imagine. I think, I'll be honest, I haven't made up my mind yet. So we're going to take these two calls, and then I'll decide, because it seems that Uncle Bob in Columbia would like to weigh in first before we get to Bill in Lebanon. Let me know, Uncle Bob, how are you celebrating 615 Day?
Hey, good to hear you again. I haven't talked in a while. We've talked in the past. How will I celebrate if I got the tickets? I tried this morning, try to give the fifth caller, missed that. But how will I celebrate? I just get on bended knee and give thanks to the good Lord.
Man, I think that's great perspective, Bob. Take some time, no matter what your religious affiliation is, to just kind of, I got my Patrick Star. I don't have my Patrick Star Namaste shirt on, but just take a little time, meditate. Take some time to appreciate the all of the good things that come with living in this area code. 615-737-1045. We appreciate the call. I like that. That's good perspective. Very grounding from Uncle Bob. Always a pleasure to hear from him. Let's go to Bill in Lebanon, who wants to push back on the idea that I'm a local. Go ahead, Bill. Rip me.
Okay, what county is Lebanon in?
Oh, damn it.
Come on, Buck.
That's so good. I have no idea.
That's good stuff from Bill.
I have Bill. You nailed it.
Take a guess.
100%. It's not in Dixon County.
No, it's not in Dixon County.
Okay.
It starts with a W.
Williamson County.
No.
No. Wilson County.
Wilson County. All right, Bill, you win.
Where's Murfreesboro?
Now Murfreesboro is in Williamson County, right?
No.
No?
No. Starts with an R.
Rutherford County.
There you go.
Hell yes.
Good song. Rutherford County. There you go.
Rutherford County.
You're not a local yet. You got to know these things.
We're going to do a geography beat with him, Bill.
It's not Giles County. It's Giles County.
Bill, that is the smartest call I think that we've gotten in the history of the radio show. That was exceptional. He says, "Where's Lebanon? What county is Lebanon in? You idiot."
We're going to do this.
I kind of want to give him the tickets just for making me look like a fool. That was exceptionally well done. That I can respect. We've got people chiming in on where are what cities are what counties are the various cities
whole
in.
Segments on this.
Unbelievable.
We're gonna do this.
Bill, I got by Bill. Lucas will call the winner of the 2 Titans future tickets here in just a second. But coming up next, we're going to get into some college baseball, College World Series to be specific, because Adam Sparks of the Tennessean going to join us. We'll talk about them Vandy boys here on 104.5 The Zone.
The 3HL. Here's what you missed.
How many more years do you have with Derrick Henry?
2?
Maybe you get more than that. Maybe you get an Adrian Peterson.
I
with
wouldn't
this
be
guy. I don't
surprised
know.
We know the opponents, right? When we ended the show yesterday, the game between Virginia and Dallas Baptist was still underway. Now we know that the Vols will face Virginia in the first round of the College World Series. Lucas, we have, by the way, before we get into this, we have awarded a winner for the future Titans tickets here on Dad's Week on 104.5 The Zone as a part of our Father's Day preparations so that we can celebrate together. We have decided a winner, yes?
Yes, Cody went with the flattery route, said we get him through his day. We cheer him up. He listens all day on The Zone, and we appreciate that. But Cody's also a healthcare worker who will be heading home after listening to all of our shows and working and drinking some moonshine. To
Homemade
celebrate
moonshine.
615 Day.
Homemade moonshine. So not just because Cody flattered us. You guys have come. I honestly, Bill wasn't a 615 Day nominee. So because by the letter of the law, he did not play the game. Otherwise, I would have given the tickets to Bill, be honest with you. And not because of any slight of Cody, because, of course, we want to take advantage to celebrate our healthcare workers for all of the great work that they have been doing throughout the course of the last 16 months, without question. But Cody in Kingsport, Lucas will be calling you here momentarily and getting your information so we can send you to a future Titans game. And don't worry, if you missed out on these particular Titans tickets, we have many more tickets to concerts and events to give away throughout the course of this week. So stay tuned because 104.5 The Zone is going to treat you right. Don't you worry about that. In the meantime, College World Series, we know the opponents. It will be Arizona for Vanderbilt, and it will be Virginia for the Tennessee Volunteers. We have talked about the differences between these two teams. We have broken them down at length, and largely the stigma around them is that Vandy is the pitching, the Vols are the bats. But as Mike Wilson, our buddy from the Knoxville News Sentinel, laid out yesterday, the pitching for the Vols has been exceptional and helped them get to this point, hugely underrated in how they found themselves heading to Omaha. But we have plenty of time to talk about the Vols. In the meantime, let's talk about Vanderbilt with Adam Sparks of the Tennessean. Sparks, is this the first appearance that you've made on the radio station since this whole ridiculous thing has been lifted?
Absolutely. This is the breaking the seal or re-breaking the seal. It's been a couple years, I think.
Yeah.
So good to be back.
No question. It's good to have you. Thank you for taking some time. Let's start with the baseball itself before we get into the way that the university honored you over this weekend, the last weekend that you will be spending on the Vandy beat. By the way, congrats on your promotion, well deserved, for all of your great work. What was your main takeaway from Vandy sweeping East Carolina in the Super Regional?
I think that we maybe undervalue this team a little bit. I think I certainly do. You know, we've been sort of so pampered, I guess, so used over the years of seeing Vandy teams that just annihilate the opponents and run through the bracket that, you know, you don't even notice that they just won 5 straight at home in the NCAA tournament. But they basically coasted to Omaha. And I think along the way, myself included, I think we've looked at it and said, well, they don't really have a third pitcher. Well, the bullpen's got a few questions. They've got some deficiencies here and there, and they had a couple of games that they didn't really hit. And I think from more of an outside perspective, you look at Vandy and say they've got maybe the best 2 pitchers in the country, and they lead the SEC in batting average for a team that we look at and say they've got some weaknesses in the lineup. The statistically maybe the best hitting team in the conference, in the best conference out there. So, you know, they've made their way to Omaha with not a whole lot of resistance, and you know, right now they're the odds-on favorite. They've gotten some help with other teams getting knocked out for that, but there's certainly a path for them to go all the way.
So to that end, because I mean, this happens a lot in sports with things that are consistently great. You start to take them for granted in a way that you're describing, or you start to undervalue them, even though their greatness might be different, but it's still achieving at the same kind of rate as years past. How important, Spark, and maybe you don't think this is the case for this team yet, but I'd be curious to get your perspective. Do you think they have the 2021 team has kind of gotten out from under the shadow of the 2019 defending national champions. Do you think that they have accomplished that just by getting back to Omaha, or do you think there's still work to be done in that regard?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is a relatively young team. The 2019 team, if you ever look at a ranking of like the best teams in college baseball history, that Vandy 2019 team is usually at least in the top 10, sometimes the top 5. So that's a historically great team. And yet, getting to Omaha, the fact that this team was technically the defending national champion for 2 years because of the COVID year, and most of these guys weren't even on that team. Kumar Rocker is actually the only guy that even played in Omaha last time they were there. A few other guys were on the team but didn't get to play when they were in the College World Series. So it's a completely different team. They've moved on. You know, getting to Omaha in baseball is like reaching the Final Four or in basketball or the college football playoff in football. It's kind of the mark of, you know, you made it. You get a T-shirt, even if you don't win the whole thing. You get a T-shirt. You get a ring. This means something. Getting this far, and so I think that means a lot. And really, to go back to the point of taking things for granted, I think there's some of the COVID year that I think is in this, because had Vandy played last season, there would be more layers to each of these players' stories. So, you know, there would have already been a run through the postseason, maybe a run to Omaha last year, where we could look at these players and say, he did that last year, so he's the guy that needs to be up on the mound now or up to bat right now because he's done it before. The fact that we didn't get last postseason, means this is all new. I found myself looking through that during the regional, super regional, saying, whoa, hey, that guy's never done that before. Well, almost none of them have done it before. So I think every team is probably a little bit in that boat where they feel oddly inexperienced and younger than they probably are, and Vandy's certainly in that boat.
We're talking about Vanderbilt baseball on their way to Omaha, Nebraska for the College World Series with Adam Sparks of the Tennessean. At Adam Sparks is where you can follow him. Carter Young has been so instrumental, certainly to getting them to this point, Sparks, but having a difficult time throughout the course of the postseason. He dislocated his shoulder back in May against FIU. How big a moment was this for Carter Young to be able to get the winning hit to send them to Omaha after all of the struggles that he's kind of gone through throughout the course of the regional and the super regional?
Yeah, he's not going to be 100% at Omaha, but he's going to be close. I think he needed that to sort of solidify himself as you can count on me. Vandy has had a run of like 5 or 6 phenomenal shortstops over the past few years. Ethan Paul and Connor Kaiser, and certainly Vince Condi and Dansby Swanson at the top of the list. And Tim Corbin has compared Carter Young to Dansby Swanson a lot. And I argue that Carter Young has become a better power hitter faster than Swanson has. He's just a sophomore this year. And they need a guy like that when they go to Omaha can say, I've seen him get a big hit in a clutch situation. He did it before. He can do it again. Again, that's a short list because they didn't have these guys playing in the postseason last year. So that was big for him. It was also big for the team.
The ballpark that they'll be playing in at TD Ameritrade, notoriously a pitcher's park based on how it's constructed. How beneficial is this for Vanderbilt, given that you cited, and what is basically known at this point, that they have the best 1-2 punch in terms of pitching on their roster with Rocker and Leiter, damn near unhittable, both of them at this point?
Yeah, it's certainly an advantage. I mean, the path to getting to a national title is pretty simple for Vandy. The way that Omaha sets up, you play one game, two days later you play again. If you go 2-0 in those, you get to sit and wait for like 4 days without a game while everybody else in the loser's bracket plays it out. So if Vandy were to go 2-0 with Rocker and Leiter, you can just sit and wait, and you got to win one more game with your third starter and with the rest of your bullpen, whoever you want to throw in that third game. And then if you lose that one, you could probably come back. You could then come back with Rocker, who would have a week's rest and win it in an elimination game after that. So they're sitting pretty if they go 2-0 with those two guys. If you lose either game with Rocker or Leiter, it complicates things quite a bit because not only do you have to go to a third starter who's serviceable, Patrick Riley, he's a freshman, He's had some SEC wins, so he's been good at some spots. You also have Christian Little, a 17-year-old who reclassified to be a freshman this year. They're quality pitchers. They're nowhere close to Rocker and Leiter. And again, if you lose one of those first two games, it's not just going to the next game to win with one of those guys. You're going to have to win with both of those guys to get to the championship series. If you get to the championship series, you got to win two games. That's Rocker and Leiter again. So it all comes down to winning the games you're supposed to win. And with those two guys on the mound, I will say it's not the best matchup in the opener because they're going to play Arizona. Arizona is a contact hitting, a team that hits for average. They don't hit a lot of home runs, but they know how to spray the ball around the field. This is actually a really good park for Arizona to hit. It's a really good park for Vandy to pitch. So that's going to be one of the tougher matchups, I think, in the first round across all the bracket in Omaha.
Adam Sparks of the Tennessean is here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
So, Adam, how does Vanderbilt want that Arizona game to go? I mean, in terms of scoreline, the pace of the game, what would be most favorable for the Vandy boys?
They would love it if Rocker could obviously do similar to what he did last weekend, which is go about 7 innings, go deep into the game, have a lead of a couple 3 runs, hand it off to one of their two late game guys, Maldonado or Luke Murphy, and have a win with using 2 pitchers. And if they go 2-0, then your bullpen's going to be rested anyway because you're going to get 4 days off or whatever. But if you can just use Rocker and one reliever, you've then got your whole bullpen to go if Leiter does get into some trouble. He didn't get into much trouble this year, but occasionally he's had a couple of games where they'll get on top of his fastball and he'll give up some home runs. And you could have a situation where, you have to pull him in the 5th rather than the 7th. You could have the same thing with Rocker. So it's about those guys going deep into games, getting a lead, and, just handing it off to the bullpen. And Vandy's got anywhere from 2 to 4 good quality arms in the bullpen, but each of those guys have been shaky in spots. This is one of the thinner bullpens that Vanderbilt – it's a good bullpen, but one of the thinner bullpens that Vandy has brought just in terms of depth to Omaha before.
Adam, how much do you anticipate a possible Tennessee-Vanderbilt national championship series? How fun would that be, and how do you think that might go?
Yeah, I get the betting lines because Vandy, as I mentioned, there's a definite path to the championship series. Tennessee has won 2. They may have to go through Texas to get there. It's just 2 different teams. It's Vandy's sort of a machine that has great pitching, and how they can win it and get there. Tennessee is more of kind of riding momentum. Vandy in 2014 when they won the national title, they were 6th in the SEC, and they're a good postseason team, but they're not getting to Omaha. And then in May and June, they just got hot, and they just kept winning. Tennessee is not that because they had a great regular season. They won the East Division championship, but they have a little bit of that feel of that team, that they're playing their best baseball toward the end of the year, and there's just sort of this rolling tide of emotion that's going on in making their first trip to Omaha in 16 years. So 2 different types of teams, 2 different styles of teams, 2 different styles of coaches, and that'd be super fun for Omaha, and it would be real fun for the state.
Adam Sparks is with us here on 104.5 The Zone. At Adam Sparks is where you can follow him. Do you enjoy the infighting between Vandy and Vols fans on Twitter?
Yeah, I like it. What I love the fact is that the 2 fan bases look at like the other coach, the iconic coach, and say, I'm glad we don't have that guy. Tim Corbin to UT fans, I think sometimes is just sort of this like staunch philosopher that they get annoyed by. And then Vandy fans look at Tony Vitello and say, be quiet and get in the dugout and, stop having all these situations out on the field and all that. I argue that either of those fan bases, if they had the opposite coach, they would love him for all the reasons that they hate him. If Tony Vitello was coaching Vandy, now they would prefer to have Tim Corbin, but if I look at Tony Vitello as kind of a Steve Spurrier. If you're against him, you hate that he's brash and arrogant. You can't stand the guy. But if he's your coach, then you love that about him. it's not as much for Tim Corbin, but I think it's the same thing, that if Tim Corbin was your coach, he'd be the best coach in the country, and I would argue that he is anyway.
I would say that's accurate, 100%. So now we do the uncomfortable part. We got to talk about you because everybody else is celebrating you, so we want to as well for all the great work that you've done on this Vandy beat. I laughed out loud, Sparks, when I saw on Twitter the framed Vandy jersey that you were given in the press box to commemorate your time covering them, because I thought to myself, the Tennessee Titans would never. They would whisk me out of the building faster than humanly possible, and you, rightfully so, are being honored by the team and the university that you've spent so much time covering. I know you've talked about this a little bit, but what does that mean to a beat reporter? Because it's I don't want to say it's a thankless job. There's a lot of redeeming qualities about covering a team every day, and certainly in your case, covering across all of the sports on a regular basis. But what did that kind of mean to you in your position? Because I don't think people necessarily get to appreciate it the way that you might have.
Well, I appreciate that. If I had been on the beat for a shorter time, I guess that would have been sort of an awkward moment, because it would be if a school or somebody on a beat is saying, "Hey, we're really happy that you've been our beat writer," you kind of feel like, "Whoa, I didn't do my job," because they should be angry at me for some things that I've written. If I'm being critical. But I've been on the beat long enough, 7 years, that I know I have written things that they could not stand that I would uncover and report, and yes, there was still a level of respect there, and that goes to Vandy baseball and the school overall. So I thought it was a sign of respect. I appreciated it. I nearly didn't accept it because Tim Corbin ended his Zoom press conference the other day by, I had to get some quotes in, and so I was leaving the Zoom, and just as I had my cursor on leave in that Zoom, they said, "Well, Tim Corbin would like to say one more thing to Adam." And I was about a half a second away from leaving that. Tim Corbin would have been talking to an empty screen if they had waited for another half second. He also said, "We've got a shirt for you as a gift," which I assume was like a polo shirt or something. And then they brought in this big, like 60-pound frame that will go in my office. And I hate homer beat writers, ones that sort of root for the school that they cover. And so I do have, of the teams that I've covered, the schools I've covered, I've got those. I've got MTSU things because I've worked that beat for 10 years. I've got some others of different teams that I've covered. So now I've got a Vandy emblem, and wherever the next stop, I'll have one of those, just sort of an eclectic mix on my wall in my office.
Well, certainly well-deserved. I think from your standpoint, Adam, because I think the dynamics of covering Vanderbilt, of all the different teams in this city, they're probably the most interesting one, because I think that you have done them, even as you have uncovered things that may be uncomfortable for them at times through your reporting. I think to have your consistent level of coverage, and I know it can be uncomfortable to talk about yourself in this light, but I think that it has been so critical to telling their story in a way that other people may not necessarily be willing to do. I'm pretty judicious about the amount of time that I spend on Vanderbilt, because I know what it means for me in the job that I do on talk radio and on the streaming shows that I do additionally. But for you, I think it's such an important part of telling their story, because there are so few people willing to actually tell their story.
Well, and I think we're in season now of baseball, and I think this is very timely that if I look back over the last 7 years, the ability and the trust there that Vandy has had in me in storytelling and kind of letting the veil down on some things has been earned through baseball. Not earned by me, but earned by the fact that baseball has been really good, and those are obvious stories there. A large portion of the better stories, the most read stories, the award-winning stories have been in baseball, and they've been in runs to Omaha. And that's when they've been obviously really, really good, the best in the country in that program. And so when you do that, they see kind of how you handle stories and even sensitive topics. Then that can then transfer to football and basketball, where they don't have as much success. Because, if the football team is 2-10 and you want, the backstory on something that may be a little uncomfortable, they're going to say, we're terrible this season. We don't want to talk about it. Leave us alone. But if you've done it enough times in baseball, where it really helps the program and that storytelling, then they know it's going to come from the same place when you get into football and you get into a struggling basketball program. So, a lot of the success I've had as a beat writer, I owe to the fact that the baseball program is just so good that you get those opportunities to tell really interesting stories about interesting players on the best program in the country.
He is Adam Sparks. At Adam Sparks is where you can follow him. Brother, I always appreciate the opportunity to catch up. We don't do it near enough. I don't know if they're going to let me back in the Vandy press box to butcher names on Press Box PA anymore. It's been a while since I've done that, but I'm certainly going to miss your presence around here, and we'll have you on again, no matter what whatever the future endeavors hold, because I know you're going to kill it.
Well, I mean, I'm on the zone now, so you can be in the Vandy press box. There's hope. These walls can come down.
That's right. Bring down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev. Adam Sparks here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Take care, bud.
Thanks. We'll see.
All right. We will come back and wrap up the show with the polls, and then I'm going to head out to practice. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Want exclusive Titans coverage? Just say, hey, Alexa, play 104.5 The Zone.
When was the last time you took a good look at your garage doors? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Doors. My homework assignment for you is to really evaluate what condition your garage doors and openers are in. If your doors look dated and run down, call us out to give you a free new door estimate. If it squeaks or is just plain loud, then let me get one of my technicians out to your home to evaluate what must be done to fix these problems. You'll be amazed at how much smoother we can get your current garage door running. Call us today at 629-702-6159 or visit us today at fourseasonsgarages.com.
If you're over dealing with hair loss but think now's not the time to do something about it, you couldn't be more wrong. Now is the time to face it head on, and the expert staff of PAI Medical is ready to serve you. Not only is PAI on the cutting edge with the latest technology, but they have awesome financing options, making it affordable for anyone. Have your procedure and recover while you're still working from home. Call 615-376-6010 or go to WeGrowHair.com. All they do is hair, and they are the very best at it. Visit WeGrowHair.com today.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Hey, 1 Hour Mick.
What's up, Ryan?
Looking a bit tired. Up late?
Helping with an AC repair call last night.
How long did it go?
Nearly midnight.
Who was it? Some VIP?
Nope.
Was it the governor?
Nope.
Famous celebrity?
Not at all.
Then why'd you go to all that trouble so late at night?
Because there was a problem and it needed to be fixed.
But...
Ryan, everyone is a VIP when their AC isn't working.
I see what you mean.
That's why 1 Hour works 24/7.
Every night?
And we don't charge extra for that.
Nobody likes after-hour charges.
That's why we don't have them. And we never will.
1HourMick.com.
Always on time, or you don't pay a dime.
1HourMick.com.
So how late will we work for a famous country music star?
Long as it takes.
Because celebrities are super important.
Yes, just like everyone else.
Independently owned and operated.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
To learn more about our programs and to donate, go to carsforkids.com. That's Cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll also get a vacation voucher and maximum tax deduction.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Mike Keith here. You know Nashville's at a huge seller's market right now. A lot of people could sell their homes and make a fortune, but they're afraid to because they think they won't find a place to buy. It's a huge missed opportunity, but my good friend Gary Ashton has the solution. Don't sell without the intel. Any real estate agent can put your home on the market, but you need a world-class team who can get you into the next one. With over 200,000 visitors to GaryAshton.com a month, nobody has better Nashville property intel, including off-market properties. It's the secret that the Gary Ashton team has to help you win the buyer battle, give you the confidence to sell today, and get top dollar for your home. If you're sitting on the sidelines, don't. With the Gary Ashton team, you can sell now, buy later, and relax. Cash in on your home equity now and get the best of all worlds for tomorrow. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. Sell now, buy later, and don't sell without the intel.
Bad phone systems are bad for business. Poor clarity, lack of features, absolutely no support. Well, good news. Reliable VoIP does exist. VoIP from C Spire Business is a game-changing, stress-free communication system with crystal clear audio and premium features, all backed by our team of experts, available 24/7. Now that's VoIP. C Spire Business. Stay connected with powerful communication tools at cspire.com/business.
Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply.
Final segment before I head out to Titans mandatory minicamp and give you some great reporting on your favorite football team. There's so much that we've been able to get into over the course of today's show, but something that I continue to want to see is growth at the position of tight end, Lucas. I'll be honest, Jimmy, his disappointment in Jared Pinkney, the Vanderbilt product, who has been talked about by a lot of people, not just Jim, and not just because Jim's a Vanderbilt fan, but Ferkser, in the limited opportunities that I've seen of him, I think there's a little something to be desired there. I think they look at him in red zone packages, but that group, it sounds like it is trending in the way that there are going to be additional moves made. And I guess this is the opportunity that a lot of guys will have to prove themselves before training camp and tryout players kind of take a hold on this thing.
And I guess Pinkney's had that strike one, right? He was John Glennon's ding-dong of the week on Blaine and Mickey the other week for not showing up to OTAs. And we can hear from Jimmy Wyatt on what he thought about Pinkney because I totally agreed with him.
Yeah, so here was Jim Wyatt speaking with us earlier in the show on Jared Pinkney's absence at tight end.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I kind of talked him up when the Titans signed him early in the offseason. He's been with Atlanta last year and kind of looked at him as a guy who had a great chance to earn a roster spot in a good position. And here we are, starting minicamp. He wasn't around for any of the OTAs. That one just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I understand guys like Derrick Henry and Bud Dupree and Roger Saffold and some of these guys that we'll see today for the first time this offseason. I understand those guys kind of doing their own thing and being here for minicamp. I don't get it with a guy like Pinkney, who I really liked early in his career at Vanderbilt, and then he kind of went out with a whimper. Not all his fault, but they just went on a very good team. But and then for him to try to make a good impression, he kind of blew that in my mind, because I think if you're going to make a good impression, you're here all the way through the OTAs and you're showing you're committed and you're showing you're all in. And so hopefully he's out there today for his from his perspective, and I think he's going to have a hard time making up for lost time, to be honest with you. I still look at that position as one where they're going to add to it. Right now they're trying to get as many reps for these young guys and get along the look as possible, but I still think more help's coming at that position. It's just a matter of who and when, and that's ultimately probably not going to be a good sign for Pinkney or maybe some of these other guys. I think there's still spots to be had on the practice squad. I just think it's going to be Ferks or Swaim and somebody that's not on the roster right now when they get down to 53.
Yeah, I think Jim's spot on there. It's not just strike one; it's strike 2 and 3 at this point, because these had 3 opportunities to show up for voluntary off-season workouts, And we will discover whether he is available at mandatory minicamp today. But first, we do the polls.
Stop the count! Stop the count! The polls have closed and the votes have been tallied. Now, here's your favorite Buck Reising Show correspondent, Lucas Polzica.
Derrick Henry getting snubbed from the Madden cover, fair or foul. 73% say foul. Personally, I don't really care.
Okay, so, we're the demographic that would care. If we don't care, I don't see why anybody else would care. Like, don't give me the Madden curse. I think that's foolish as a reason to discard something like that. I think any marketing opportunity for your team that you can get is good business, good PR. But I wouldn't be all bent out of shape about it, especially if the two guys that you're competing with are Brady, literally the greatest of all time, and Baby Goat Mahomes.
Who starts for the Titans at right tackle this season? Dylan Radins, Kendall Lamb, or other? 75% say Radins, 20% say Lamb, 5% say other, which I suppose would be Ty Sambrailo.
I bet Lamb starts the season. I bet Radins is in there by week 3.
I would agree. What are you most interested in at Titans mandatory mini camp? V-Love says Julio.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Julio. And that's basically the summary of mine. Quarterback and wide receiver chemistry. That's something that they're going to have to work to develop.
Kyle Pelletier says Jim Schwartz taking over the defense.
Not yet. Not yet, Kyle.
M. Woods says, does Jared Pinkney show up?
It turns out you need to keep your powder dry, as Coach Mack would say, on both.
Robert Platts, who is in injured reserve, so we can ask Buck about it daily.
I don't know why I bother to help you people. This is ridiculous.
Chase Capley said whoever doesn't participate.
There will be plenty of – actually, I don't think there's going to be that many. I don't think people are going to be disappointed by attendance today.
Oh, here's one. Justin Teeple. Buck, when does Dupree come off IR?
Not yet, boys. Not yet. Keep your powder dry.
Steven says the kicking situation, which we haven't really dove into much on this show.
So they have 2 kickers on the roster. There's only so much you can say about the kickers. I'm sure the competition will start to flesh itself out, and if they think they need help, now would be the time to find it.
And Clayton says the corners.
The corners have been patchwork at this point. And without more understanding of Caleb Farley's situation, more of a sample size of Elijah Molden, we really haven't seen that much of Christian Fulton. We will see how big a difference that Jackrabbit Jenkins makes this week.
Does anyone do their job as well as Adam Sparks? Yes or no? 56% say no.
No is the answer to the question, and those are the polls. That'll do it for us on this Titans Minicamp Tuesday. I'm going to head out to practice. Make sure that you're following along on all of the Zone social media platforms because we will be pumping out the content from there. I'll also catch up with you tonight on A to Z Sports Prime Time, but the good news is you got plenty of sports conversation to carry you through up until then because Blaine and Mickey are coming up next.
Every great Titans moment happens here. Your home for Titans football and the flagship for Titans radio. 104.5 The Zone.
At DeWalt, we're proud to welcome NASCAR back to Nashville. A lot's changed since the last time a cup race came to town in '84. Back then, drills and phones still had cords attached to them. And it was a heck of a lot easier to find a parking spot downtown. But there's a lot that hasn't changed, like the pride Tennesseans take in a job well done, and the toughness of DeWalt tools. From right here in Jackson, Tennessee. DeWalt, guaranteed tough.
You're back on the weight loss train by trying keto, Weight Watchers, even fasting, but nothing sticks. You see results in the beginning, but the weight just comes back. Edge Peptide has a better way. They specialize in weight loss for anyone looking for a total body transformation using a customized peptide package tailored just for you. Edge's peptides have been around for decades and used to only cater to the rich and famous. Now they've brought their successful customized treatments to the public. Learn more at edgepeptide.com. Begin to see results and feel the effects in as little as 3 weeks. That's edgepeptide.com.
Unused